set a good foundation before we came out and did something like this.
Fantastic. Pia, you mentioned in the Tatler interview that in Jeremy, I love this actually, this quote, that in Jeremy you met the male version of yourself. Can you elaborate on this?
Because when I met Jeremy, we really clicked right away, and we just talked nonstop, and we found so many things in common, and it's almost like love at first sight, I think. Even though you won't admit that it was love at first sight, it was. And so you're right earlier, by the way, that this is kind of different for us, because usually when you do an interview as a couple, you're together physically, and then it's, and then you would be in front of us, and it wouldn't be like this. So this is kind of new to me. I've never had to do an interview like this. So like, I'm a little nervous, actually. I don't know why.
We live in funny times, but I'm sure we'll get through this as well. Jeremy, you were supposed to come to Manila in March. You were actually supposed to speak in Manila House as well. When was the last time you saw each other?
Wow. So it would have been, February, right, baby?
Yeah, New York.
Ooh, that's what you call each other.
Well, I call him my love, and then he calls me baby and other things.
Wow, other things. Oh, this is very important for the Filipinos. Pinoys, right? We call ourselves Pinoys. Okay, what Tagalog word do you know? The most important one.
MAGKITA. all the important things.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I also taught him kilig. He also know what kilig means. I know that a lot of people who comment on our page now, they say kilig a lot. So I told him, you know what kilig means, right? Like, because I do say it to him, like, I feel so kilig, or you make me so kilig. So he knows what it means now. So kilig, mahal kita, maganda. What else, babe? Like, I mean, those are the important ones.
The important ones, right? Those are the ones that people try and say to each other.
I've known you guys, and I'm kilig as well right now, because see, you guys.
I'm kilig too, and I'm nervous. Oh my god.
Okay, Pia has a long distance and the pandemic since it's interrupted your relationship. How do you feel you can make it stronger? How do you manage all this?
I think it's really important to. You mean like for a relationship, or just being
if you're long distance and plus the pandemic, you can't see each other. How do you make this relationship strong?
I think
parameters.
I think constant communication is so important. We talk to each other every day. Well, like, walang mintes. Every day we talk to each other. Sometimes we talk twice a day, and we'll talk for hours if he didn't have to go to a meeting or to go to work, which he still does, by the way, up to now, every day. We would be talking for hours, and that's just how we bond. We just talk about everything, and I think that's so important, especially for couples that are long-distance relationship now. Talk to each other every day, check up on each other, and talk about the real things too. Don't just like pretend that, oh no, I'm good, baby, like nothing's wrong, I'm fine. I mean, we're in the middle of a pandemic and so many things going on in the world right now. So it's really important to be honest and to catch up, to check on each other. Be really honest. Yeah.
Jeremy, you met in London, Hong Kong, Indonesia, then New York in a span of a year, but it was in Hong Kong on a special day that, Jeremy, you mentioned in the article as well, that you wanted to be, this is the moment you wanted to be with Pia. Mm-hmm. Take us to that situation and what made it very special.
I think just building on what Pia said, we've really invested heavily in communicating with each other right since the very, very beginning, and just talking about our feelings, talking about what we're looking for in life. And, I see it as a huge compliment that she thinks that I'm a male version of her, because I see how driven and smart and, intelligent she is, and how much I learn from her, and hopefully she learns from me. So I think with Hong Kong, what was so special about that was we just walked around Hong Kong just talking. really like, there was no fancy dinners, there was no shows or anything really that you might do when you're early dating life. We were just walking around and talking, and I think we touched on it in the article, but I remember sitting down in a little park, and we had all these school kids running around us and making noise, and birds in the trees, and just being in the middle of nature in the middle of Hong Kong, and just looking at each other and talking about the things that we wanted, and realized that they were very similar. Realized we had shared values, realized that we both we both wanted the same thing, and then it was love at first sight. I was like, right, I'm done.
Yeah, I think this should be a movie, don't you think? You should guys be in a movie together.
Yeah, I mean the way we met and the way it all happened, and Jeremy was right. There were moments before that we almost met. There was one event while I was Miss Universe living in New York. There was an event by Philippine Tourism. I was there as a guest, and then they were there earlier, and then they were leaving, and then somebody said, "No, wait, because Miss Universe is coming," but they left anyway, so we didn't night. But everything happens for a reason, right? And I guess we were meant to meet now, and at this point in our lives, where we're so much more, I guess, mature and more ready for a mature, serious relationship. So, and we both want the same things. Like Jeremy said, he is the male version of me. I really feel like I used to tell myself before, I used to tell myself this before, honestly, I don't think I'll ever meet the guy who is as driven and as busy as me. And then that would be a problem, because then, you get a lot of misunderstanding in relationship when that happens. And so I wasn't really looking for anyone when I met him, but it happened, and I'm so happy. We're so in love.
I'm so happy for the both of you. I'm really, like one of your fans, I'm rooting for you as well. I think a lot of people also want to know, I got this question, this is the cheekiest question, is where and when was the first kiss?
It was Hong Kong. It was Hong Kong. It was Hong Kong.
Wow. How was it like?
So, it was in Hong Kong. Baby, you should tell the story. Be a
Okay. We'd had the day just walking around and spending time together, and we were staying in different places, but relatively close to each other, and it was just capping off the day as we went home, and we were going back to our respective hotels, and I gave her a kiss goodnight, and then we left things, and then it ended up ending a perfect day, knowing that the next day we were going to see each other again, and that sort of little, you know what it's like, that little awkward bit at the beginning.
Yeah.
Should you? Shouldn't you? Is this the right moment? And everything I think with Hong Kong just fell into place, because we'd spent so much time talking to each other and trying to understand each other and realizing how much respect we had for each other and that we were on the same page. And just the night ended in the perfect way. Went back to each other's hotels and knew we were seeing each other in the morning. So that's how it happened.
Yeah.
That is fantastic. It's a kilig moment. Can you say kilig, Jeremy?
It was a killing moment for sure.
Okay, so we're going to go on. And what was it like to do your first big shoot together?
By the way, I want to share with you guys something. So before this, I would have to get my phone in a bit. I'll ask my cousin Charity to go get it for me. But we had a different idea for our reveal at the beginning. So we had this funny photo in Bawa. Remember that, babe?
Yeah.
Like we took this really, we made some funny faces and we took pictures, and then we said, what if this became our cover together, just us being goofy. And then one day, Jeremy texted me and he said that he got in contact with Nigel and with you, and that you guys were game to put us on the cover. And I mean, we said yes right away. I mean, this is Statler Philippines, and I'm really happy that you guys were very open to featuring us and putting us on the cover of the magazine. So thank you so much.
My goodness. So we're going to show some scenes of some photos of the shoot. Like, this is one of my favorite shots from the shoot.
Yeah. It's at the Equinox Hotel. Amazing. I mean, we're going to speak to Nigel shortly, but he's a really good friend. He's an amazing man. super talented. So we were very lucky that he. I know he's done a lot of work with you, Anton, with Tatler for a while. But yeah, it worked out. It worked out perfectly. It's funny. We don't smile in any of these photos. It's very like.
Yeah, I know.
But you can see, hopefully, from this interview that we're always smiling with each other and we're always,
exactly. I think it's supposed to be sexy and sultry and mysterious. But here, I want to know, Jeremy, what were you thinking in this photo?
I'm trying to think. I mean,
Smelling my hair.
Yeah, exactly.
Smelling my hair.
And what were you thinking?
Cause when we were thinking of the shoot, the idea was for it to have this Bond feel. So I dress up as a Bond girl and he's Bond, and then so it's a bit serious. And it was around winter too at that time.
I know.
So it the setting, I guess, the mood. So we wanted to kind of like be serious, but in between shoots, we would like laugh and be
around with each other. And
speaking about Nigel Barker, we're going to bring in one of our favorite Tatler photographers, the dashing, handsome, and noted international photographer, my good friend, Mr. Nigel Barker.
Well, hi, everybody. Great to see you. Good morning, good evening.
Yes, can you say something to our viewers?
Absolutely. How wonderful to speak to you all again. You know, that obviously the Philippines is one of my favorite places in the world. One of my favorite places to photograph, but also my favorite people to photograph. And super, super excited to be chatting with you. And how much fun has it been the past few days just to be communicating back and forth with so many people who are in love with this wonderful couple. And what an opportunity I had to photograph them. So I'm excited to talk to you about it.
Exactly. You know, like you were saying earlier that you love the Philippines. What are the most memorable experiences you've had in the Philippines and Manila in particular?
Well, I mean, you know, obviously with you, Anton, going over there and doing these wonderful photo shoots that we've had to do, these incredible cover shoots. You know, the thing about the Philippines, and I'll say this, as someone who travels the world, someone who's been very privileged and had the opportunity to travel extensively throughout Asia, but also throughout Europe and everywhere else. You know, there are many, many amazing countries in the world. There's no doubt about it. But what really separates a country and what separates the Philippines are the people. And you know, you can have a gorgeous place, you can have an incredible facade or building or history, but the people are what makes the difference. And that's what the Philippines is so special for, in my opinion. It's the hospitality and the charm, and everyone I photographed, and to the people who helped me, the people who did the production, all aspects of it. And you know, everybody I met invited me to their house. Everybody I met wanted to give me something to eat. Everybody was trying to feed me. Everyone was looking after my crew. You know, so just the most, those are the sort of memories that you take back where you're like, you know, I could live there, kind of thing. You know, there aren't many places where you're like, I could live there. You know, so
Nigel, we're going to give you a short homage of all the Tatler covers that you've done for us since actually 2007. I was telling you earlier, I was only 12, right? This is our first time we actually met, was with our first Filipino supermodel, Ana Baile. And you knew her through Georgie Dingkong, my friend, who introduced me to Ana, and Ana knew you, and that's how we kept in touch, got in touch. Right? And then you came for the first time to Manila for this shoot called The 12 Women with Kit Sobel and Inayalo, one of my good friends. And you photographed 12 women. And these are some of their photos from Margarita, Carol, Garcia, Vicky Zubiri, Mary Chris, Kathy de Guzman. And then in 2007, you photographed another pride of the Philippines, Miss Josie Natori. This was done in her home. You remember that?
Very well, very well. What a charming, amazing woman. I mean, again, she's an international talent and someone who's very, very famous the world over. So it was a real privilege.
Yes, and then in 2009, Remember, we did Tory Burch in her beautiful home in Fifth Avenue, I think, was it?
I do. One of my great stories about that particular shoot is that obviously, Tory Burch is again a household name, and has stores on the high street under her name, Tory Burch. And yet, while we were there, at the end of the shoot, she came in sort of barefoot, having been in the kitchen, having made us cookies, and put them down on my entire. And it was this sort of very, and of course, people are people and people are human. But oftentimes, when someone becomes so famous, like with someone like Pierre with 10 million followers, you can't believe just how hospitable and normal and down to earth she is. They are, and that for me is always the nicest thing. And I think you also find people who have that kind of empathy.
Exactly. And then 2011, you came back to Manila for the glam issue. This is Heart Evangelista, beautiful Heart Evangelista, Georgina Wilson, and Celine Lopez on the cover.
Look at all these beautiful women. They're ridiculous. Thank goodness that you let us, the world see them on the magazine covers. People would have no idea that you are hiding so many amazingly talented women in the Philippines.
Exactly. And then in 2015, you came back to Manila and photographed Vicky Bello for her 25th anniversary, my good friend Vicky. And this was done in the Soler Theater with some of the most major stars in the Philippines, from Derek Ramsey, Sarah Geronimo, Mateo Guticelli, Piolo Pascual. My good friend Tim is there, Lupi Gomez, Isa Calzado, Beldazad. So this was such a great shoot, right?
It was an epic shoot, fantastic location. One could have been anywhere from sort of, I don't know, the Opera House in Paris to, the Grand Palazzo in Italy or something, but we were in the Philippines, and it just shows too that what you have going on there. And that's one of the wonderful things too about photography too, is that we get to showcase your talent and your locations as well. And by the way, I think we're well due a photo shoot again in the Philippines. Sure. But I want to go on location. I want to see the countryside next. Anton,
okay.
I'll hold you to it.
We'll plan something. And then, of course, 2016.
Yep.
With PIA Wurtzbach in New York. This was done at the Baccarat Hotel.
I know. I mean, the Baccarat almost pales in comparison to the beautiful pier. But
And then, of course, 2020, we come full circle to Jeremy and PIA on the cover.
This was. So just a little inside moment here. I will take credit because I like a little. I'll take a little credit from these beautiful people. But I got wind that there was a relationship. That something was happening. Someone told me somewhere that there was a relationship. So I decided to do a little sniffing around, and I remember calling Jeremy and sort of saying, "Jeremy, are you dating Pierre?" And he was very kind of like, "Well, blah blah blah," and I'm like, "Look. When and if it becomes public, I need to be the person you talk to, because I would love to be able to, let's do this properly and showcase it." And then I called Anton very quickly and said, "Anton, I might have a scoop." And I was busy, sort of felt like I was a matchmaker, but through photography. But the wonderful thing is that we're all friends, and they did a very smart thing too. It's obviously one can go to the press very quickly, and people are very hungry for this kind of stuff. But for them to be very mature about their relationship and to take their time and to let it sink in and to fall in love, ultimately. Exactly. It shows in the pictures. Yes, there's steamy.
You saw it before your eyes. And for PIA and Jeremy, how was it like working with Nigel?
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you so much, Nigel, for agreeing to shoot Jeremy and I for the cover. It's always a pleasure working with you, and Filipinos love you. And I know that you're known worldwide and very much respected, so I'm really happy that you agreed to work with us again and work with me again. Thank you. So I just wanted to let everybody know how grateful I really am that Nigel agreed to do this shoot with us. And of course, Anton, you too. Thank you so much for putting us on the cover too. Thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. Our pleasure. Jeremy?
Yeah, I mean, Nigel and I have a long-standing friendship, and it's like bigger brother type situation where, he gives me lots of abuse and we joke around, and it's always fun when we do something. He got me onto a show he was doing a little while back. We did that together. He's also close with my brother, and, it's just a real pleasure. It's not work. It's just, building on our friendship. So, yeah, I really appreciate it, mate.
Absolutely. No, my pleasure. My pleasure. What fun. And he's far too good looking. So I try my hardest to dumb it down in the photographs, but it's not easy. It's not easy. Luckily he's dating Pia, so that was the only thing that helped balance it all out. He's definitely met his match. I don't know, but the personalities maybe, but certainly, looks-wise, Pia, I'm afraid, I think she still has you there, Jeremy.
She does.
Okay, guys, we're going to move on to some serious questions about. Oh, sorry. Okay, we have some behind-the-scenes photos. My friends at the back. Look at all these photos. This is done again. You mentioned Jeremy. Jeremy in Hudson Yards and Equinox Hotel.
You can see the photo on the right there. It was tipping down with rain, and so we were trying to find a way to. I mean, obviously Nigel's the man at making it look professional. We're trying to find a way to make it look the way that it ended up coming out in the shots. When actually there was rain and wind, and Pia was freezing, literally.
Let me tell you a funny story though about that picture on the right.
Yeah.
When they arrived, that one there on the right, where she has the white jacket and Jeremy has the umbrella. So we're there, and meanwhile, security is very, very tight on the ground, and they don't allow photo shoots in the vessel. It's actually quite difficult to do, and we could only shoot from before it opened, which was before 8 o'clock in the morning. So it was very early. Jeremy and I had been already taking pictures at 6 o'clock in the morning onwards. So we'd been up since 5. But we were there, and the security detail was around. And I looked at them, and I looked at these guys, and I thought, I might have something up my sleeve that was going to help us on this shoot. And I said, do you know who I'm shooting? And they looked at me like nonplussed, nor did they particularly care, it seemed. And then from the distance, Pia emerged from the hotel, and I saw this one security guard, literally his whole body language changed. He looked at me and went, is that Pia? Is that Queen P? And I said, it is. And he was like, oh my God. And he quickly radioed in, and then came back and he said, at the end of that shot, he said to me, Mr. Barker, if there is any location that you would like to shoot at today, you call me directly and I will give you direct access to anywhere you want. So our golden card to making the whole shoot work was the fact that I had Pia with me. So Pia, you need to be with me and work on sets with me in New York, please.
Work with you again. Yes, please.
Amazing. And we have other photos to show. After this shot, there's a sexy shot of Pia.
Yeah, amazing.
And
so we were photographing at the top of the edge, which is the reason why we're wearing those special jackets, because we were very, very high up. You can't really see. It looks like a whiteout. But we're on top of the world.
Yeah.
Wow.
Very cool.
The next photo. This is the bar of the Hudson Equinox.
The Equinox Hotel. That one was. I think it's so funny seeing these back. It just brings back so many good memories. But again, you see how serious we are. We're always looking at each other. It's very intense. We're not smiling, and you can from the interview that it's not how it is with us normally.
Yeah.
And I can see Chrissy there, Nigel, your wife, your beautiful wife.
Well, you can also see how many people are there. I mean, it's one of the fun things about behind-the-scenes photographs from fashion shoots are what you see, the viewer sees, is what I see, which is a very intimate moment, and we create stories, right? So as a fashion photographer, it's about an editorial, it's about a narrative, and in this particular instance, yes, obviously they're in love and they smile and they laugh, and we get that. But for a story, one is trying to create something which is, which was perhaps not just about their personalities, but much more about the power of a woman, the power of a man, the fact that they were equals, and that one isn't better than the other, or stronger or more powerful than the other, in this particular instance too. And that, so it was, the casting of the situation wasn't one to have one cowering to the other, or one following the other, or one chasing the other. It was to have them both as these sort of dominant people in the picture, and at the same time it wasn't angry, it was with a power and a confidence and an allure and a charisma, and that's what comes through. And you'll see in Pia's eyes, when she looks at the camera, she pierces straight through the lens, and she looks like she's looking at you. And I think that's why these are so powerful, is because every single person who sees it thinks that Pia is of course looking at them. Well, at least that's in my mind.
Yeah, Jeremy.
Yeah.
We have a behind the scenes video as well to show. Very short. Why don't we cue this?
Okay.
Soon.
Whoa.
Wow, guys.
Wow. I didn't expect it.
This is great.
Wow.
What was that?
What is this? What is this?
Wow.
Wow, look at that. Yeah. Yeah, thank you guys. Yeah, thank you so much. That's really nice.
That's all from Nigel's camera, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some of my BTS videos is clipped together. A lot of fun. I mean, one of those shots is not in the story. In fact, I know that Jeremy and Pia have some additional pictures, as does Anton, which no doubt will make it out there. And yes, we did put him in a shower because it got so hot. I decided to try and cool him down at -200 degrees, but it hardly worked.
We did. That was the cryo. Yeah. In the Equinox Hotel. Yeah, we were actually inside the hotel.
Of course, you had to show your abs. We had to see some skin, Jeremy.
Maybe we'll post it one day.
Yeah,
It's actually in the magazine. It's actually in the magazine. It's in the if you check it out, you check it out again. It's there. Okay, we're going to move on to some serious questions about COVID-19 and your careers in the industry. Nigel, for you, as a photographer, how has this pandemic changed how you work and how are you adapting?
Well, I mean, right now there really is not any regular photo shoots, so all production had ground to a halt. But that being said, things are beginning to shape up. I mean, we got booked for a photo shoot yesterday, actually. So as we started, these are all pictures of me. But anyway, yes, I get. It has changed. It will change. My next shoot that I have coming up, which is in a week's time in Michigan, I think. I'm going to be taking a much smaller crew with me. The people want less people on the set. We're going to, there are all these sort of things we're going to have to figure out as far as how close and far people can be from one another. Whether people are, but there's, at the same time, there's a risk involved, and we're going to have to deal with it. Luckily, most of the people I deal with are on the younger side, so they're not really high-risk individuals. That just happens to be my particular side of the industry. But photography is quite intimate with hair and makeup artists. So I know that a lot of models are actually learning to try and do their own makeup and things like that. And one shoot that's rather interesting that I was asked to do during the pandemic was one where I was asked to sort of direct a photo shoot from afar, from a phone, and have the person photograph themselves with me creative direct the shoot. So people have got very creative, very unusual ways to try and continue working. I mean, ultimately, we always find a way.
Yes, for sure. And you were saying something about, like, do you think people will be wearing hazmats and masks and, I mean, all the gloves? I mean, how is that?
I mean, the makeup artists and the stylists and things like that will probably do that kind of thing. I mean, obviously, someone like myself won't necessarily wear, the gloves and stuff, because I need to be able to feel the camera, the bits and pieces on my camera are sensitive to my fingertips. But that being said, one will just take whatever precautions one needs, and ultimately there are risks concerned on some levels, I guess. But at the same time, you have to get past it, and you have to get through it. And there are always certain risks to anything one does. Even if you're climbing on, very tall buildings. I mean, look at Jeremy on the cover of your magazine. What's he doing? Waltzing on the back of a horse, rearing in front of the pyramids. I mean, that's a risk.
Yeah. Exactly. So talking about photo shoots, I know, Pia, you're always used